Oscar goes to Anora. Sean Baker!
Anora won Best Picture at the Oscars, and I watch this speech every morning to motivate me, because I too, like these filmmakers that I admire, am also broke. Yes, that's the truth. Filmmaking hasn't made me very much money in my whole life. Sometimes I wonder if I'm running out of time as a filmmaker.
My partner and I made $0 on the last two films that we made. So.
Zero. Movie theaters, especially independently owned theaters, are struggling.
But a bit of an intro. I'm an award-winning filmmaker turned vlogger, and here I am wanting to make a feature film on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Because when I started vlogging, it got me so excited. When I saw the footage, I was like, you know what, I reckon I can take this to the streets and make a film. So yeah, that's kind of my little backstory and my journey. That's why this channel exists, to kind of document that, to show that, and to go forward into a world of affordable filmmaking and cinematic looks on a budget. But today we'll look at 5 ways emerging filmmakers can stay less broke. And before you scoff, keep in mind Sean Baker actually shot a feature film on an iPhone only about a decade ago. Lights come on, it just changes everything. And for the naysayers, if you don't believe it's possible, here is some of the beautiful footage I filmed courtesy of Cebu Pacific, who supported me on my journey to celebrate my birthday in Manila through the spirit of cinematic vlogging, to show Manila off as a global hub. This was filmed on the K&F anamorphic and macro lenses, and the link is in the bio if you want a small discount. Now this trip inspired me so much that I might even shoot my next film in Manila, potentially. It got me cooking up ideas for scripts and all those types of things, so...
How much is that?
This DJI Osmo? 800 Australian dollars?
Oh, maganda yan,
Yeah.
DJ, ano.
DJI, my favorite.
Yeah.
I love this camera. Thank you po. Bye-bye.
Let's get on to the ways we can stay less broke. Starting costs. Films have a budget, and Anora was made on a budget of $6 million. Now that is the production budget for the pre-production and the filming of Anora. But there are also reports saying that $18 million was spent on the marketing budget of Anora alone. Now that is 3 times the production costs to get the film made. But all this said, for independent filmmakers, finding money and having money is obviously a very hard thing. I mean, there's literally reports of filmmakers that are struggling to pay rent that are nominated at the Oscars. But films cost money to make, and my last funded film, which was funded by government and state agencies in Australia, and this was funded on probably what would be the catering budget for one day on a television shoot or a feature film shoot. $24,000 went to cast and crew and post-production to finish my short film. I'm very proud of this film. It went on to play 30+ film festivals and win awards, but I'm rambling here. To make a film on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, you'd be looking at a startup cost to get the camera at $850 roughly for the creator combo. But obviously, you're gonna need more mics and you're gonna need more things around it to make it work. Now, I reckon I could make a feature film on the bare bone kit that I have with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 creator combo, lenses, a tripod, and in all honesty, that's probably all you really need to make a film on this. Like really, if you think about it, to make it on the bare minimum. Why would I make a feature film on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3? For all these reasons. And to inspire people, because for first-time filmmakers especially, this is all so daunting. Now a $6 million production for Anora sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But Sean Baker himself has made films on much, much less. Remember, Tangerine was shot on an iPhone just a decade ago. And around a decade before that, in around 2003 or 4, he released a film called Takeout, which premiered at the Slamdance Film Festival. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was at Slamdance. And that film was made on a budget of $3,000 to $5,000. Again, I am just looking at internet figures here. And that film was shot on a very minimal crew of maybe less than 5 people, it seems. And that film itself is Sean Baker's film school in a way. He learnt probably so much making that film, the same way I learned so much cutting my teeth on independent films too. And I want to do this because I believe the real world will lead you to stories. And that leads me on to this next point. Now, to put it in context, in Manila, when I did my recent travel vlog, I wanted a moment of a picnic at a really beautiful location, Ayala Triangle Gardens in Manila. And we set up and everything was all beautiful. And in the footage, it looks all calm and fun, but in reality, it was a little bit more messy than that. The cats kind of got a little too close to the food in one of the shots and I wanted to bin it. But then we got approached by someone who looked like they may be from a lower socioeconomic situation, someone who may have fallen on some hardships. And I was going to bin the food and they just said, "Can I have the food?" And I damn near cried. I was there in my moment, in my filmmaker moment. And yes, I gave him the meal and he looked over the moon and they got lunch for the day. It got me thinking about how privileged filmmakers are to be able to even have a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Like to even have this level of filmmaking. You know, if I had a big camera, would he have approached? Would he have let himself in? Because that might not have happened with a bigger camera and a crew and a set. Because the vulnerability is there when you're using a vlogging camera, and that's really important for storytelling. But this all comes into proximity with the real world locations and why I also want to shoot on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 because it opens the door to potential locations. Now when moving through the world in Manila, I saw the Venice Mall and they have a mall that is shaped like Venice. And when I was walking through here, my creative mind was going crazy. I was thinking of film ideas, like literally imagine an Italian neo-realism film set in this kind of vicinity about characters intersecting through their lives and interaction, an ensemble of different characters who all work these boats. And also maybe the people like myself who come in interaction with them. Now that's a story. Like I was thinking about that and I'm like, that's an interesting story. I might actually pursue that. So I did speak to my producer potentially about making that film. If you really go bare bones, you can have access to locations and freedom that you may possibly not get with a bigger camera. Now getting permission to film in locations is always a hard thing to do, but it's much easier with a smaller camera. And to save potential budget, this may be one of the ways that you can use a vlogging camera to actually save you money on a production. Vlogging actually showed me that this is a very fun way to make things again, and it sparked my interest because just when I was starting to get more funding and starting to move into that world, I realized that the most fun I've ever had was when I was just out there filming. So I wanted to put those two worlds together and create something for myself, something for my passion, something where I don't have to answer to too many people and still make it. But it's a mentality of taking opportunities when they arise, like with CV Pacific, for example. I mean, I could have just done a straight linear travel vlog, but at the same time, I was also jotting down ideas. I was getting my creative juices flowing. And that was really amazing that I could work that muscle on that trip because I could have just gone linear, but instead I moved in different ways. And that's the nimble ability that the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 offers. One way to stay less broke is find a camera that you can manage. Now, right now, I love the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 because of how nimble it allows me to be and the cost of it. Like, it literally doesn't cost me an arm and a leg to have. Now, to rent a camera at a rental house and do all these things, that costs money. And then how do you get practice if you have limited money? Yes, filmmaking costs money, but not every filmmaker is blessed with the ability to have the funding or have the funds or even have enough employment to fund their own project. But this is a manageable way to get things going. And I personally love this way of filmmaking. Now, these are just some ways a filmmaker can stay less broke. It might not necessarily fix all your financial problems. I'm no person to be a financial advisor in any way. I picked filmmaking because I'm an artiste or whatever they call them, or a filmmaker, a vlogger, an entertainer, whatever you want to call me. I'm whatever you want to be. I'm nimble just like the camera. But yeah, these are just a few ways you can stay less broke. I've rambled a little bit in this episode and I really hope that this film that I make ends up really a nice work of a part of my body of work and something I love. But yeah, thank you so much for joining and stay with me on the journey to make a feature film on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Peace.